Hi, I'm Annie Lichny, and I'm so appreciative to be here with you to practice some meditation together. And we're just going to jump right in right now. I'm going to ask you to take a comfortable seated posture and feel your feet flat on the floor, feeling your seat just placing pressure on the surface you're on. We're going to breathe through the nose. We're going to close our eyes down for the duration. Again, all of this if it's comfortable for you. And we're going to breathe, as I said, through the nose, in and out. Just follow my directions. We're going to take one hand and place it on your lower belly. Just use the belly button as the guide. Maybe place your thumb over your belly button and the rest of your hand just below that. Your other hand on your chest area. Just keep your hands here if you could, if this is comfortable for you. And just bring all of the focus. The mind has these two abilities. One is complete focus and presence. The other is this distracted kind of thinking mind. And we're going to use the mind's ability to focus and allow that thinking mind to just kind of go in the background. Bring all of our focus to just feeling the breath coming in and out. Feeling along our front body with our hands touching along the body. And just let the breath be the guide. Try not to manipulate the breath at all. Feel your hands moving as you breathe. Notice if one hand is moving more than the other. Notice if there's other places along your torso or in your body that's also moving. So we don't need a critical mind or a thinking mind, we just need the felt experience right now. And that's where our presence and our focus, the mind's ability to focus, comes in so well. It allows us to really feel the experience, not think about the experience. So now that we've tried that, we have an idea of where we feel our breathing is coming from right now. We could very intentionally engage our hand that's over our lower belly on the inhale and the exhale. So we'll just start with that for right now, and then I'll add a count to it. So really on the inhale, feel as if the belly is extending forward, so you feel your hand moving on your belly, moving out, kind of like a balloon is in there. And then on the exhale, belly button is moving back toward the spine. See if you can just notice the belly really pressing against the hand. And so the lower belly is where most of the movement is happening as you engage an inhale and an exhale. So inhale, we're filling up the balloon and really feeling the hand moving. And the exhale, the navel is moving back toward the spine. So on the next inhale, we'll count a short count. It's a brief count. It's inhaling for 2, and then the exhale is for 4. So it's exhale 2, 3, 4. Inhale 2. Exhale 2, 3, 4. Inhale 2. Exhale 2, 3, 4. And make sure your posture is upright so your lower lungs are really engaged in this as well. Continue with that inhale. It's a short inhale and then a double the length exhale. Find that rhythm. Feeling it in the lower belly. If the thinking mind comes in and pulls you into distractions, just come back to the feeling of your hands, feeling your body, counting the breath. Whatever it is brings you right back to here and now. So we'll do 2 more. Inhaling for 2. It's a short inhale. Exhaling, releasing, letting go on the exhale. Inhale for 2. Exhaling, releasing. We could imagine letting go of stress. And with very intentional care of this movement, we'll take our hands and we'll place your hands very gently and much more slowly than you might normally do. Place them on your legs and stay within this meditation posture. Again, just check the posture, check that your lungs can be fully engaged from top to bottom. So you have a very upright, dignified, and yet also relaxed, not too stiff posture. What tends to happen when we get into a very busy time of the year, like a holiday time, is that we tend to get lost. We tend to lose ourselves. We get pulled into this endless to-do list. So many different events, so many different details that we need to worry about and take care of. And we start to really expand the overthinking capacity. It happens so easily. It's an exciting, wonderful time of year that we get to spend with family and friends, and yet it also can cause a lot of stress. When we get pulled into our long to-do lists and all of the events, we get pulled out of ourselves. And by that I mean our mind might be very far away in the past, in something that happened yesterday, in a conversation you had with a family member, in an event that's happening tonight or in a few weeks. And we get pulled into other places and pulled away very easily from ourselves. Because our physical body is right here. Our breathing body is right here. Our emotional body is right here. The space that we're in right now. And the thinking mind starts to ramp up with stressful thoughts, to-do list thoughts, expectations, anticipation, and we get pulled out of ourselves. So we can start to come back to ourselves, come back home, with our mind, slowing down our thinking, coming back into the body. And when we do that, we're restoring our immune system. Our blood pressure is reduced. Our sense of contentedness and joy that we feel over just the small, wonderful details of the day, like a hot cup of tea, are magnified. And we're able to handle whatever comes at us with more in reserve, more kindness, more care, when we're all home within ourselves, steady and solid. So we're going to come back home by scanning through the body a little bit and connecting this to breath. And so in our comfortable posture, we could notice when we're getting pulled off into thoughts and just come back to the tiniest little detail of where we are in the body. Sometimes if we need a place to land, we can come to a small part of the body, and it can bring us back into presence and soften and calm things down. So we'll come up to the top of our head. And we can bring all of our focus to the top of our head. And right now the thinking mind is probably engaged in some judgment of the situation, some critical piece. And that's okay. That's the thinking mind. That's what the thinking mind does. But we don't have to pay attention to it. We don't have to believe all of our thoughts. They're just there to be critical. And yet, here we are, right here, stable, calming down, nourishing ourselves. And if we come into the brain, imagining the brain, as we start through the head and just exploring through the brain, we could start to maybe notice how the top part of our head feels under the skull and the skull itself. Is there tension and tightness? If we really bring our focus there, can we focus on any tingling qualities, vibrational qualities? Aliveness, all of the energy surging through our whole body. 20% of our energy needs every day goes directly into this brain. There's a lot of energy flowing through our brain right now. Perhaps we could feel a spaciousness, and perhaps we don't feel anything. That's okay too. There's no right or wrong. We're just exploring the sensations. We could come closer to our forehead, just under the skin. This is prefrontal cortex area, and it's where so much of our overthinking happens. In addition to our distracted world of screens and phones and laptops and things like this, this part of our head can start to accumulate a lot of tension, distracted tension, emotional tension, mental tension, and tightness. From under the skin and into the skin, into the fascia, are all throughout our forehead. Notice what's here for you. Is there tension we can feel throughout the forehead? Is it a dull ache or a throbbing or a tightness? can we come up close to it and at the same time just make a little space to be here with it, to be with the tightness. We could help soften and loosen up some sense of tightness by bringing our focus. And with our focus comes care to any tension we might feel in this overworked part of our head. We could feel along the eyebrows. That's a very common place where we hold mental tension, and that space between the eyebrows. Again, if we check in with our breath, noticing the belly breath in and out, we could also breathe in and out of our forehead area and our eyebrow area, inviting a softening and an opening. Breathing in and out. Feeling what's here at a very slow, intentional pace. We can bring the pace down, just like we can slow our breath down, of how we're scanning through the forehead and really start to bring the fire of the overthinking down. And maybe scan through the eyes. There are so many tiny little muscles all around the eyes. Sometimes they're fatigued. We could notice if there's a tension and tightness here around the eyes, the bridge of the nose, behind the eyeball, just directly behind the eye, deeply within the brain. Just feeling this whole space. Take a breath in and out, feeling this whole eye area very closely. And then through the nose and the sinuses, we could imagine the sinuses, the sinus cavity behind the actual nose, behind the nostrils, is actually quite large. It's a very large space. We could breathe in and we feel the coolness of the breath coming in through the nose into this sinus cavity. And then feeling a release of the breath on the exhale again, noticing that the belly button area and the lower belly is the part of the body that should really be expanding and contracting with the breath when we become aware of the breath. Breathing in again. The sinus, it kind of resembles the inside of like a conch shell, where when the breath comes in, it swirls around within this sinus cavity. The sinus cavity is there to help filter through the nose into the sinus cavity, pressurize and get the air that's coming in ready to head into the lungs most efficiently and effectively in order for oxygen to be distributed and cascaded through the entire body. It starts up in the sinus cavity. Breathing in, we could have a little bit more gratitude and appreciation for the breath coming in, swirling through the sinus cavity, heading down into the lungs as we breathe in. And then the exhale, there's a warmth as the breath comes back out from the lungs, through the throat, through the sinuses and out the nose, releasing the CO2. So we could start to become more familiar with the particulars and details of this incredible cycle that happens in our body tens of thousands of times every day. This breath cycle, in through the nose and exhaling through the nose. And we could feel into the jaw and maybe drop the jaw a little bit. Just lighten it up, loosen it up. Feeling a softening through the jaw and into the throat. Again, there's lots of space in the throat where the breath moves in and out tens of thousands of times a day. And then we could also feel kind of this raw sensation, this knotted sensation in our throat. Just notice as we feel the breath in the lower belly, we also could feel it up in our head, specifically right now in the throat. As we breathe in and out, can we soften any knotted, raw sensations through the throat? Again, these places, these pockets throughout our head get very clogged up with tension and tightness in very busy times of year especially. And the more zoomed in we can be on just one tiny detail of a body part, we're coming back home. We're coming back to ourselves. We're staying fully connected physically, mentally, emotionally. Every bit of us is right here, right now. We'll come back to the nape of our neck as we come to one final place to explore our head, which feels like sometimes it's on fire when we're very engaged in this to-do list. Come back to the nape of the neck, where the back of the skull meets the neck. Just feeling in that back area, noticing if we can touch into any sensations that are there. This is the hub of communication between the brain and the rest of the body. Can we breathe into the nape of the neck, this back of the neck area? Breathe in, feel what's here. Notice if we can experience a very subtle, perhaps vibrational, electrical quality along the back of the neck. Just under the skin, there's so much happening in this area, this part of the body. Breathing in one more time into the nape of the neck. And then softening and releasing all the way down the spine, all the way through the body. Releasing and letting go of everything. Any tension, any tightness, everything that's willing to let go. Checking through the whole head, seeing how you're feeling. Through the whole body and the breath. Returning home to ourself, to the here and now where our life is, where everything we experience is happening right now. Not last week, not tomorrow or next week, just right now. I wish you a stable, healthy, grounded, peaceful day today. Thank you very much for your time.